Hello, Trevor Day School. A happy new year to everyone. I can't believe that the first week of school in the new year is already over, and we're looking to end the first semester on a strong note. Welcome to a new year of the world's news service brought your way by the That's News to Me, one of Trevor's newest after-school clubs. Our club has been set up with the mission to summarize a full 10 days of current affairs and bring highlights your way once a cycle in a quick 5-minute news service. Today is Thursday, January 18th, and here's a news summary of the previous week. It's 2024, and that means it is election year in America. A time to decide if Democratic President Joe Biden remains the 46th President of America and wins a second term, or if the GOP Republicans take over the White House. Former President Donald Trump is currently leading the polls among Republican candidates. However, Trump faces legal issues regarding his eligibility to run due to his involvement with the January 6 riots. Republican candidate Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis trail behind him. On Monday, January 15th, the first head-to-head GOP match for the 2024 election season happened at the Iowa caucus. Iowa Republicans tolerated brutal winter storms at 0-degree weather to reach their polling stations and pick their top choice Republican. While the extreme weather reduced the numbers of voters who went out to the polls, and only 15% of the 752,000 registered Iowa Republicans, it was still a landslide victory for Donald Trump at 51% of the counted votes, showing that he's the clear GOP candidate of choice among Iowans. Due to his dismal performance in Iowa, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy dropped out of the race. It is probable that Ramaswamy will put his name in the hat for consideration to the running mate and vice presidential candidate along with Trump. While this is not a Democratic caucus, Joe Biden and senior Democrats were in Iowa too, campaigning against the Republican Party with the punchline that the caucus winner does not matter. Let's see who wins the general elections in November. Continuing with election news, mark your calendar for February 8th, when the U.S. Supreme Court will start the hearing of Donald Trump's case contesting his ban from the Colorado presidential ballot. In December 2023, the Colorado courts ruled Trump's alleged involvement with the January 6, 2020 insurrection was tantamount to the violation of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. You will remember that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment prohibits those who engage in inciting insurrections from holding U.S. office. The devil is in the detail, as constitutional scholars at the Supreme Court will again analyze the meaning of individual words of the 14th Amendment and try to decide if the actions of Trump indeed indicate that he incited the violent mobs to attack the U.S. Capitol that fateful day. This is a landmark case at the highest U.S. court of law, as the decision will also affect the actions of other states towards banning Trump from their respective state ballot. Recall that Colorado and Maine are the two states that have explicitly removed Trump from the ballot. Cases are pending in Illinois and Massachusetts. Yet in other cases like Oregon, Minnesota, and Michigan, the 14th Amendment challenge have failed and Trump has been retained on the ballot, but can also be open to reversal based on what happens at the U.S. Supreme Court. This decision from the U.S. Supreme Court can have a make-or-break impact on Trump's run for presidency. Reporting on news from the Middle East. On January 14th, 2024, the Israel-Hamas war has now crossed its 100th day. Despite initial success in liberating several women and children from December of last year, over 132 Israeli hostages still remain in Gaza. The Israeli government believes that of these 132 hostages, 25 have passed away and 107 remain alive to date. In Israel, even as Prime Minister Netanyahu pledged on this 100th day that he would not stop until they get their people back, the families of hostages are losing faith in the Netanyahu government and feel like the world has moved on. These families feel that the focus of the international community is no longer on getting Israelis back home. On the other side, Al Jazeera News reports from Gaza that at least 23,700 people have been killed in Gaza since October 7th, of which 9,600 are children and 6,750 are women. Additionally, 60,000 people have been injured. The death and injury counts are the highest for women and children. The World Health Organization claims that 85% of the 2.1 million Gazans have already been displaced from their home and face acute food, water, and medicine shortages. The current crisis is so bad that no amount of supplies being sent in trucks to the Rafah border will suffice. The Israel-Hamas conflict has now spread to the Red Sea as well. In the aftermath of the Israel-Hamas war, the pro-Hamas Yemen-based terrorist group, the Houthis, have mounted physical and aerial attacks on U.S. and British commercial ships carrying products and supplies from the Eastern Hemisphere to the West. The Houthis, who are a Yemenite terrorist organization but financially supported by the Iranian government, blame the U.S. and United Kingdom for supporting Israel, not standing more stanchly in support of Gazans in the Arab world. Armed Houthi rebels have been reported to use helicopters to fly into commercial ships in the middle of the Red Sea, killing sailors and hijacking the boat. This has resulted in major commercial shipping companies like Mazarak and Hapag-Lloyd to reroute their entire fleet of cargo ships through the long ocean route around the Cape of Good Hope in Africa, because a simpler route through the Red Sea and Suez Canal is too dangerous. This obviously affects shipping time, shipping costs, and can cause aggressive price hikes in the Western world. In retaliation, on January 14th, 2024, the US and United Kingdom's joint forces in the Red Sea opened fire on the Houthi bases in Yemen, hoping to destroy their infrastructure. The Houthi warriors now pledge that they will target and attack more US ships in the Red Sea and Arabian Sea in these days to come. Reporting from Eastern Europe, the Russia-Ukraine war is in its second year, and we have previously reported on the fear that Ukraine will lose a significant amount of funding from the US in 2024. On January 15th, 2024, Ukraine reported a successful offensive against Russia, destroying a 250 million euro Russian spy plane and a bomber aircraft in Moscow. Even as Ukraine takes a victory lap on the spy plane, in the week of January 15th, Ukrainian Premier Volodymyr Zelensky will meet Western European leaders at the World Economic Forum of the G20 at Davos in Switzerland, where he's expected to unveil for the first time a 10-point peace plan formula with Russia, which would start with the removal of all forces from Ukraine. This peace formula comes at a time when Russian forces have recently stepped up missile and drone attacks that have outpaced Ukraine's air defense and resources, leaving Ukraine vulnerable as Western financial aid and ammunition supplies are reducing. The U.S. aviation industry comes under great scrutiny. On Friday, January 5th, an Alaskan Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 flight had to make an emergency landing at Portland International Airport. This happened after the plane's plug door detached from the aircraft and fell at midair. The extreme loss of pressure caused at 36,000 feet above the ground reportedly ripped several headsets off of seats in the plane, but fortunately no passengers were injured in the event. The plane door was recovered from a Portland homeowner's yard on Monday, January 8th. Investigators guess a bolt attaching the door to the chassis came loose, although it is not clear how that happened. This event has caused all Boeing 737 MAX 9 run by Alaskan Airlines and also by United Airlines to be grounded for inspections for the next several weeks. And continued dismal aviation developments overnight, on January 17th, as the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was returning back from the U.S. from the G20 conferences, his aircraft, another Boeing 737, faced a critical oxygen leak on the runway just before takeoff, and the Secretary had to deplane in a state of emergency. This horrifying event damages the reputation of aviation safety in America and demonstrates the need for more regular and stringent airplane maintenance protocols and not using the same planes to fly route after route without daily inspection. Movie and music award season is in full swing in America, with the Golden Globe Awards on January 7th and Critics' Choice Awards on January 14th, already demonstrating the box office power of Oppenheimer and Barbie, two completely different but equally riveting hits of 2023. The final word on the land for the movies and music respectively, the Academy Awards are slated for March 10th and the Grammys for February 4th. What was your favorite movie and song from last year? And on that note, in the midst of all the classwork and homework of school, take the time to watch a movie or listen to new songs, because culture awareness is awareness too. We're going to sign off here, and we will be back next cycle with new developments from around the world. Semester 2 starts Monday. Good luck. Go Dragons.